Hey folks, how's it going? So, it's February in the Blue Mountain Range and feels more like March, so we're gonna roll with it. But we're up here, way in the cuts in the Blue Mountain Range, just kind of taking a little bit of a hike, and not a whole lot is waking up right now. You can see that there's lichen galore, but I did happen to come across, I should say we did happen to come across, um, this lung lichen, and I'm really excited. She has flushed all the way up the tree. She's relatively common in the Pacific Northwest. I've seen people talk about her being on the East Coast as well. There are a few different varieties. They all seem to be interchangeable. So it looks like a leaf, right? But I'm gonna have him get really close because it doesn't feel like a leaf. It kind of feels, well, like lung tissue. And they name it lung lichen for a reason. She is absolutely amazing for lung support with seemingly an affinity towards like bronchitis, right? Like if you had this available, I would reach towards that for bronchitis. I think she's right up there with lung supportive herbs like mullein or curly cup gumweed, things that I would want to have on hand. So if you come across a big stand of lung lichen, definitely, you know, make hay while the sun shines. But anyhow, she can be used as a tincture or a tea. I'm not going to say the tea tastes great, but it's not too bad. Now, I want to do something live. Well, I'm not live. I'm live in this moment of my reality. I'm going to make a tincture in the wild, right? So you don't really need to make a really big amount. And you don't want to necessarily pull all the way off when you're harvesting. Resist the urge to peel her, and instead, if you just, well, if you rip it like that, like I'm not supposed to, if you get your scissors out and be a prepared, responsible human that knows what she's doing, um, you put your jar between your knees. And then you can just cut it off. Sometimes if I had my thumbnail, I could just, pop it off. Because if you don't take the whole thing, I've seen her grow back. But if you rip the whole thing off, it's not going to grow back, right? Now, this is much like a fungus, to where when we are making this tincture, we are going to have to also, have heat involved, because she will have PSK and PSP levels, like polysaccharide, like the stuff that's in like turkey tail or reishi. Mushrooms in general, fungus in general, need heat. But there is a way to work around making a decoction. So if we get enough to fill our jar, I'm going to pop her in there and I'm going to give it a little chop. We get enough to fill our jar, and then once I almost wrecked her, I don't think I've ever done I've done plenty of videos where I'm making tinctures. There's something different about it when you're actively trying to record and chop her up. But I'm just going to fill my jar a little bit more. I see some of these bigger pieces here. Might make it go a little bit faster. You don't have to completely ram pack your jar. You want to make sure that you have enough space in there. And that space in there, I better find the lid. Here, hold my vodka. Lid. Alright. I put my lid in my pocket. Alright. Vodka. Vodka jar. You want enough space in there for the vodka. If you cut up too many plants, whatever you're making, and you really shove it in there, you're not going to have very much room for the vodka. And I haven't been drinking it. I'm just, super multitask orientated human. Oh, I'm going to hand that back. And then I'm going to, here, hold that jug up. Put the lid on it for you. Alright, so here are your options once you've put your lung lichen in the jar. Okay. You can let this sit for 6 to 8 weeks in a cool, dark place. And then you can strain it out, hold the vodka aside, put the lung lichen material into some water and simmer it down halfway, add water again, simmer it down halfway like you're making a strong tea. And then you'd add about 2 tablespoons per cup of vodka of that water back to the tincture that you have, the alcohol you set aside, because you're after those heat soluble properties. Or if you're using 100 proof vodka or even 80 proof, so 100 proof is 50% water, 50% alcohol, and 80 proof is, God brain do the math, is 40% alcohol and 60% water. But the key word here is that there's water in this. There's already water in this, and we need hot water to do the extraction for us, right? So instead of a cool, dark place, if you sit this in a hot, dark place, like on top of like a seed heating mat, put into like a Tupperware box, I talk about it pretty often on like my oil infusion videos and things like that, it would be hot the entire time, and it would already be extracting the PSK and PCP, the polysaccharide in such levels. And then you don't have to do the decoction process. And I like that, because when you add more water to your tincture, you are bringing down the alcohol volume, the percentage of alcohol that's in your formula. And when that happens, your tincture becomes less and less shelf stable. So think about it. If this tincture is already 50% water, you can't go below 25% alcohol before your tincture is, or anything, is no longer shelf stable. So you don't really have a whole lot of wiggle room of adding water. So that's just a method I like. But beyond making the tincture and doing other things like putting a label, you don't have to make a tincture in the rain out in the wild either. I was like, that'd be fun. And so put your label on there, write down what it is, put the date on there because you'll forget. Now, admittedly, lung lichen is a little weird looking. It probably won't blend in with the rest of your tinctures. You'd probably be like, oh yeah. But ultimately, label it, because it could be a couple years go by, you forget to strain it, it'll be fine. But you know, okay, so I got a jar of lung lichen tincture in my pocket. And again, what is she good for? She's amazing for all things lung health. Now, I talked about bronchitis, but she's also really good for that because she brings up and breaks out the phlegm, right? Anything that's really wet and stuck and clingy in there that you need to bring out, she's a really good choice for that. You could also use her for things like asthma, COPD. Basically, if you're like, oh, mulleins good for that, lung lichen would be good for that too. I feel like they play really well together. And I mean, when she does get to go and she really grows, you can see how she's taken over all of these, and she tends to, I notice here anyhow, she grows on what little hardwood we have. We're pretty much a conifer type forest around here, and so this is an alder tree, I believe. It looks like she's right here. Yeah, she's an alder tree. And so, you know, that's one of our few hardwoods that we have around here. So she is just on her way up, and she won't last forever. You'll find her more in the cold season. Come warmer weather, she's gonna shrivel up and go away for a while, but then she'll burst out again come fall and cold weather. It's like, I don't know, 32, or no, it's raining, so it's probably above freezing. So it's like 36 out here. Snowing up there. So, you know, she's growing in this weather, and I just think that she is a really amazing ally to get to know. She's one of those lichens that's easy to identify, because mosses and lichens can be a little intimidating because there's just so many and so different types. They're hard to ID, but she is a really, really easy one to ID. And I absolutely believe that you are smart enough to get out here and do this. I believe that you can find lung lichen. I believe that you can identify her. I believe you can call her into your life and help you with your health, because you are smart enough to do this. So That's Lung Lichen and awkward tincture making. If you like these videos, random impromptu stuff that's probably not thought out so well, but I do it anyways, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share. Sharing is super important because it helps other people realize that they are smart enough to do this too. And if you would like to support my capacity to teach freely, consider checking out my little shop called Wildwood Apothecary via the link in my bio or the description, depending on where you're watching. It supports my entire existence and my ability to be here with you. So thank you so much for watching, folks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.